disgusting blob.
Ghostbusters might be one of the most iconic films of the 1980s, but behind the proton packs and green slime lie some unbelievable secrets.
Hold them up! Go!
Fact 1. Before the Ghostbusters we know today came to life, Dan Aykroyd envisioned something wildly different. His original script involved time travel, alternate dimensions, and a team of Ghostbusters fighting spirits across the galaxy. The budget for that idea would have been astronomical, something in the range of $300 million today. Columbia Pictures told him to tone it down, so Harold Ramis stepped in to help rewrite it. Together, they reshaped the story into something more grounded, keeping the paranormal but placing it in a relatable, modern New York setting. The script originally included multiple ghost-busting teams scattered across the universe. Aykroyd had envisioned roles for Eddie Murphy and John Belushi, with Belushi even penciled in as the film's lead. After Belushi's death in 1982, the project was paused and rethought. The spirit of Belushi, however, still lingers in the film. Literally, Aykroyd based Slimer on Belushi's notorious party antics. He even called Slimer the ghost of John Belushi during production. Slimer's chaotic behavior in the hotel scene was designed to mimic Belushi's food fight style from Animal House. The interdimensional ghost war idea wasn't entirely scrapped. It was merely shelved. Elements from Aykroyd's original vision later inspired Ghostbusters 2, the Real Ghostbusters animated series, and even Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's a wild reminder that the Ghostbusters universe we know was once part space opera, part horror film, and without a dramatic rewrite, the Staypuffed Marshmallow Man might have been just one of a dozen galaxy-sized threats. Fact 2.
It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
Securing Bill Murray for the role of Peter Venkman was a leap of faith. The studio never actually got a signed contract from him before shooting began. Instead, they relied on a verbal promise that he'd show up. Murray was notoriously unpredictable with his commitments at the time, and many in the production held their breath until he arrived on set. When he did show up, it was just days before filming. This wasn't unusual for Murray, who often avoided traditional negotiations. The studio greenlit the movie partly on the hope that Murray would follow through. They were right, but barely. His involvement was so vital that Columbia Pictures agreed to fund his passion project, The Razor's Edge, in exchange. The Razor's Edge bombed at the box office, but Ghostbusters became a cultural phenomenon. Murray improvised many of his lines, giving Venkman his dry wit and sarcastic charm. Some of his most iconic lines weren't in the script at all. Director Ivan Reitman trusted Murray to create magic on set, and he did. Despite the chaos, Murray never missed a day of shooting. His unpredictable nature added a spontaneous energy to scenes, and to this day, no one's quite sure if he ever officially signed that contract. Fact 3. During her audition, Sigourney Weaver took a wild gamble. Instead of just reading lines, she acted out Dana Barrett's transformation scene on all fours. She barked, snarled, and growled, embodying her possessed character. Director Ivan Reitman was stunned and slightly terrified. No one else had done anything remotely like it. The risk paid off instantly. She was cast almost on the spot. Weaver, best known then for her role in Alien, brought a level of seriousness to the role that grounded the film's silliness. She knew the importance of physicality and committed fully to the idea of becoming the gatekeeper. Her possessed scenes were largely improvised, especially her eerie bedroom moment with Peter Venkman. The deep growl she used came from her own throat, not a sound effect. Weaver has said she wanted Dana's possession to feel animalistic, not theatrical. The effect was so convincing that Reitman had to tone it down in editing to avoid an R rating. Behind the scenes, Murray could barely keep a straight face. Even the crew started referring to her as the dog lady during production. Weaver's performance elevated Dana from a basic love interest to a memorable supernatural force. And it all started with one bizarre but unforgettable audition. Fact 4.
Get her!
The opening sequence with the ghost in the New York Public Library set the tone for the film, but it was originally much scarier. The original cut featured a longer transformation with grotesque prosthetics and disturbing sound effects. Test audiences, including children, found it too terrifying. Columbia Pictures panicked, fearing the movie would lose its PG rating. Director Ivan Reitman re-edited the scene, trimming it down significantly. What remains is still spooky, but far less intense than originally intended. The actress behind the ghost, Ruth Oliver, wasn't even told what the final scene would look like. She thought she was playing a harmless librarian. The creature effects were handled by Steve Johnson, who used a mix of puppetry and stop motion. In one version, the ghost's face peeled away, revealing a skull. That version never saw the light of day. The ghost's final shush was added in post-production, replacing a scream. Many crew members found the uncut version too disturbing for a comedy. Even Harold Ramis later admitted the scene might have gone too far. The toned-down version, however, became iconic. It proved that even with restraints, the film could deliver unforgettable frights. Fact 5. Dan Aykroyd didn't just invent Ghostbusters from thin air. He was practically raised in the supernatural. His great-grandfather, Samuel Aykroyd, was a famed spiritualist who conducted seances in the early 1900s. His grandfather was an inventor who tried to build a radio to communicate with spirits. His father wrote a book titled A History of Ghosts, exploring the family's obsession. Growing up, Aykroyd was surrounded by tales of the paranormal. He read Fate magazine and watched countless hours of supernatural documentaries. Ghosts weren't fantasy to him. They were family dinner conversation. This deep-rooted belief made his script unique. Unlike typical horror films, Ghostbusters treated ghosts with both reverence and ridicule. He wanted to blend comedy with the idea that the supernatural might be real. Even the proton packs were inspired by fictional science mixed with old spiritualist concepts. Aykroyd's passion lent authenticity to the film's ghost lore. His character, Ray Stantz, is essentially a version of himself. Every gadget, ghost, and myth in the film had roots in real-world beliefs. His fascination made the bizarre believable. Without Aykroyd's ghost-hunting heritage, the film likely would have never existed. It's not just a comedy, it's a family legacy on screen. Fact 6. That famous No Ghost logo wasn't just a piece of marketing, it was practically a classified project. Columbia Pictures wanted something that could rival the Superman S or the Batman bat signal. But since the film's concept was still under wraps, they had to create the logo without revealing too much. Michael C. Gross, a producer and former art director for National Lampoon, took on the task. He worked alongside artist Brent Boats to design a symbol that instantly said comedy and ghost at the same time. The red circle and slash were inspired by European prohibition signs. The ghost itself was sketched to look innocent, not terrifying, so that kids wouldn't be afraid. The logo appeared on everything from business cards to jumpsuits and even the Ecto-1 car. However, its final design wasn't completed until just weeks before release. Gross hid the logo's meaning from studio executives to avoid premature leaks. They reportedly loved the logo so much they trademarked it before filming wrapped. The logo was featured in the animated series, merchandise, and video games. It became so recognizable that some people thought it predated the movie. In reality, it was made specifically for the film. Legal teams even had to fend off look-alike versions from bootleggers before the premiere. To this day, it's considered one of the most iconic logos in movie history. And it all came from a team that had to design it without telling anyone what it was for. Fact 7.
It's the Staypuffed Marshmallow Man.
He may be adorable, but the Staypuffed Marshmallow Man was a logistical disaster. The 112-foot marshmallow giant was portrayed by special effects artist Bill Bryan in a custom-made suit. That suit weighed over 100 pounds and required a cooling system just to prevent fainting. Bryan could only stay inside for short bursts before overheating. 3 separate suits were built, each one costing over $20,000. The destruction scenes required a miniature New York City, complete with crushable buildings and exploding signs. Every step the Marshmallow Man took was done in slow motion and then sped up in post-production. The final meltdown scene used 500 gallons of shaving cream dropped from above. That sticky mess covered actor William Atherton, who played Walter Peck. It knocked him off his feet during filming, causing an actual injury. The explosion of marshmallow goo was so overwhelming, the crew had to wear ponchos behind the camera. The sugary smell lingered for days, attracting insects to the set. Despite the complications, Stay Puft became a fan favorite. His cheerful sailor outfit clashed hilariously with his destructive rampage. Ironically, no marshmallow company would allow their brand to be used, fearing backlash. So the crew made up their own, Stay Puft. The character was designed to be innocent-looking, but terrifying when scaled up. And while he only appears in the final act, he became the film's most unforgettable icon. Fact 8.
Do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, ESP?
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
Ernie Hudson originally signed on to play Winston Zeddemore with the promise of a rich backstory. Early drafts gave him a military background, a pivotal role in major ghost battles, and almost equal screen time as the other leads. But once Bill Murray officially joined the cast, the script was rewritten significantly. Much of Hudson's character development was given to Murray's Venkman. Winston was demoted to a late-entry character with minimal dialogue. Hudson didn't even appear until over halfway through the movie. The actor was understandably disappointed. He's spoken openly about his frustration in interviews, calling the experience bittersweet. Despite this, he gave the role his all. His grounded, everyman perspective offered balance to the eccentric team. He delivered one of the film's most memorable lines. "If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say." Behind the scenes, Hudson was a calming presence on set. He had no ego, no drama, just professionalism. Over time, fans grew to love Winston, and he became a crucial part of the franchise. He returned for Ghostbusters 2, the animated series, and Afterlife. In recent years, creators have acknowledged the injustice and given Winston more prominence. But it's a haunting reminder of how quickly a major role can be sidelined in Hollywood, even in a movie about ghosts. Fact 9.
Certified check, cash or money order.
What I did I see?
The Ghostbusters signature car, the Ecto-1, was nearly scrapped due to budget and time constraints. Dan Aykroyd originally imagined the car as a black, futuristic ambulance with purple lights and glowing antennas. The first version was so elaborate that it would have cost more than the entire effects budget. Director Ivan Reitman told him it had to be simplified or cut entirely. They bought a 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor hearse ambulance combo and started modifying it. The team had just 2 weeks to build the car, outfit it with props, and get it running. It broke down constantly during filming. In some scenes, the car had to be pushed manually into frame. The siren was a combination of whale song and modified European emergency tones. The roof gadgets were mostly junkyard parts and old film equipment. The car was painted white instead of black because black didn't show well on film at night. Only one fully functional Ecto-1 was made for Ghostbusters. A second, non-working version was used for interior shots. Despite its problems, the car became iconic. Fans around the world have created replicas. The Ecto-1 even has its own fan clubs and convention appearances. What was once almost cut is now one of the most recognizable vehicles in movie history. Fact 10. Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme is one of the most recognizable songs in pop culture, but it was written in just a few days. Parker was hired at the last minute after several other musicians dropped out. He was told to create a catchy theme song in under a week. The producers sent him raw footage of the movie and a vague direction. Make it funny and spooky. Parker struggled until he saw a late-night infomercial. That ad's cheesy tone inspired the fake Ghostbusters commercial seen in the film. He wrote the chorus, "Who You Gonna Call?" in just one sitting. When the song was submitted, the studio loved it instantly, but not everyone was pleased. Huey Lewis sued Parker, claiming the song copied the bass line from his hit, "I Want a New Drug." The lawsuit was settled out of court, but the dispute didn't end there. Years later, Parker sued Lewis for violating the confidentiality agreement by talking about the case on Behind the Music. Despite the drama, the song became a chart-topping hit. It earned Parker an Oscar nomination and made him a household name. Kids everywhere were shouting the chorus in schoolyards. The song's popularity helped sell the movie to a wider audience. Even today, it's instantly recognizable from just 2 notes. And to think, it all came from a late-night ad and a ticking deadline. Bonus fact. While filming in the heart of New York City, the Ghostbusters cast quickly learned that their fictional fame was blending into reality. Crowds gathered at nearly every outdoor location, not just to watch, but to interact. When the actors wore their proton packs and jumpsuits on the street, real people started asking for help with ghost problems. Bill Murray once joked that a woman asked him to exorcise her apartment on the spot. Dan Aykroyd was completely in character during breaks, pretending to scan for paranormal activity. Tourists and locals didn't always realize it was a movie shoot. They thought it was a strange new city service. In fact, some pedestrians wandered into shots, thinking the Ghostbusters were part of a live event. The production had to hire additional crew just to keep curious onlookers from walking into frame. At one point during filming in front of the firehouse, a man reportedly ran up and tried to join the team. The authenticity of the props didn't help. The proton packs were heavy and realistic, made from real hardware parts like resistors, tubing, and power cells. Even the Ecto one, with its flashing lights and blaring siren, caused drivers to pull over as if it were an actual emergency vehicle. Some locals even called the police, assuming it was unlicensed. Rather than discourage it, the filmmakers leaned in. These real reactions gave the movie a genuine New York energy. And thanks to all this chaos, Ghostbusters didn't just feel real, it was real to a whole city.